Iraqi paramilitary forces, close with Iran, of course, unveiled tunnels and missiles for the first time to be used potentially against American bases if a war breaks out. They do show some very interesting missiles, some very interesting, very large missiles at the end of the video. Looks like a Fatah 1 missile. Under the threat that Iran is facing, thousands of young men are signing up martyrdom forms all across the country. Okay, Sistani has not called for anything. Thousands are signing up martyrdom forms. These forms they are signing are saying, we will give our lives away to protect Iraq and Iran. Okay, even the Secretary General of Hezbollah was seen filling out one of the forms. I was in Iraq not too long ago. I was meeting with all the the bad guys, according to the U.S., and I was there on an official delegation invitation from our friends over there. And, the Zionists were all freaking out. But now the Zionists are freaking out a lot more about Iraq because the current prime minister, you got to understand, the prime minister in Iraq is the one who has the effective reins of power over government. The prime minister, al-Sudani, he is on his way out. He has given up the reins of power. He is not seeking another nomination. And we do have a return of one figure from Iraqi history that you probably remember, Nuri al-Maliki. This is the man in question, soon to be Prime Minister Nuri al-Maliki, a politician close to Iran and the resistance groups in Iraq like Kataib al-Hezbollah and PMF and other groups, right? Mr. Maliki has gained the support of the Shia coalition within Iraq to become the prime minister once more. Now, you probably remember Mr. Maliki because he was the man standing next to George Bush when George Bush got the shoes thrown at him. Oddly enough, when I was in Venezuela the last time, we were there. We were at an event waiting to listen to President Maduro speak. And I met the guy who threw the shoes at George Bush, which is interesting, just fun. I took some photos with him. I never posted it, but I met the guy that took the or threw the shoes at him. He's out of prison now. So anyways, Nuri al-Maliki, he has very good relations with all of the resistance groups in Iraq. That's not cope. That is actually true. How do I know that? You got to trust me. You got to trust me. Take a look at the photos I posted and who I was surrounded with when I was in Iraq on my last trip. Maybe, just maybe, Hinkle's got some sources. We'll leave it at that. But anyways, also, Maliki, I mean, obviously, he does have, how do you say? He's got communication lines open with the U.S. as well. So it's not to say that he's like, he's Khamenei coming in to be the prime minister of Iraq. There was a very, very, very complex view of Maliki during George Bush's time. They were very distrustful of him in the United States, but they had to deal with him. Okay, so I'll say it's not to say he's like he's Nasrallah or something. This is not Soleimani coming to charge in Iraq, right? There are lines of communication with the U.S. It's not like that, but he is very close with the Iraqi PMF and the Iraqi resistance groups. Okay, some people are trying to make it out as if like this is the end for the United States in Iraq. It's not like that. Okay, but it is true that Trump is very pissed off about this. Okay. Basically, what has happened is Sudani has reportedly withdrawn his bid from becoming prime minister once more, and Maliki has been backed by the coordination framework. He must now secure a governing coalition, including Sunni and Kurdish blocs, to form the next government. And Washington is very upset about this. They did not want Maliki to become in charge. Trump issued a statement. Also, Mark Savage, Trump's representative in Iraq, said, "We will not allow the formation of an Iran-backed government." Trump tweeted this out. He said, "I'm hearing that the great country of Iraq might make a very bad choice by reinstalling Nuri al-Maliki as prime minister. Last time Maliki was in power, the country descended into poverty and total chaos." Seems like something else may have been going on at that time. Can anyone point to what else may have been going on at that time? Any guesses? Was there anything else going on in Iraq at that time? Any other threats in Iraq at that time? Or was it just the leadership of Nuri al-Maliki? U.S. politicians are so stupid. Oh my God. The audacity to tweet that out. That should not be allowed to happen again because of his insane policies and ideologies. If elected, the United States of America will no longer help Iraq. And if we are not there to help, Iraq has zero chances of success, prosperity, or freedom. Make Iraq great again. Now, personally, I think the Iraqis see this and they're like, okay, bet. What was it, like 100% of the Iraqi parliament several years ago said that they voted, 100% of them said U.S. troops need to leave. You know, all these U.S. military assets, you need to go. So I think they're like, okay, bet. You guys, you don't want to stay here when Maliki's in charge? Okay. Fine by us, right? So Iraqis began protesting in very large numbers. These are just a few photos and videos, but this was all across the country. Iraqis began gathering near Baghdad's suspension bridge to protest U.S. interference in Iraq's political sovereignty after Donald Trump posted against reinstating Nuri al-Maliki and claimed Iraq would have zero chance without American support. Not sure what that means, but I definitely know, and I definitely have enough brain cells to know that is a threat, okay? How big of a threat? That's the question. Okay, but now here's where we get into some very interesting news, because in the midst of Nuri al-Maliki effectively being named as the next prime minister of Iraq, right? Iraqi paramilitary forces, close with Iran, of course, unveiled tunnels and missiles for the first time to be used potentially against American bases if a war breaks out. This is the first time I've seen, and I've seen other people say this is the first time I've seen like Iraqi PMF showcasing underground missile facilities. Okay, so they have dropped this video and a ticking sound going on in the background. Of course, I'm not going to show you the whole video. We don't want to get in trouble here on YouTube. But in fact, they do show a lot of military hardware. They do show Iraqi PMF. They do show some very interesting missiles. Some very interesting, very large missiles at the end of the video. Looks like a Fatah 1, missile. I don't know. That's what it looks like. Looks like they have Fatah 1s. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm an expert on what Iraqi militias do and don't have, but I will say that that's the first time I've seen Iraqi militias showcase something like that. Hypersonic Fatah 1 missile. So, again, U.S. soldiers in the region, I would encourage you. You do have the right to consciously object. You do have the right to say, I'm not going to be a part of this aggression. I'm not going to commit more war crimes against the good people of this region, and I'm not going to sacrifice myself in the name of Epstein, BlackRock, Wall Street, and Jared Kushner, right? Now, it's not just the underground missile facilities. It's not just Maliki that's causing a stir in Iraq. I have to also show you this. When it became evident that something needed to be done about ISIS and Daesh in Iraq, right? And there needed to be a mobilization, okay? The religious leader in Iraq, al-Sistani, he called upon the young men of Iraq to volunteer to participate in the operation against ISIS, okay? And obviously, as we all know, the U.S. was backing ISIS, okay? They claimed otherwise, but they were, just like in Syria. And anyways, what happened when Sistani called for volunteers to fight ISIS and save Iraqi sovereignty? What happened? Immediately, within 24 hours, 2 million young Iraqi men volunteered to sacrifice their lives to fight ISIS. 2 million men in 24 hours. It's hard to even imagine something like that. It's hard to imagine something like that, but that is what happened. And that's how that is the brave story of how Iraq was able to erase the scourge of Daesh from their country, okay, and free their cities. All right. That is what happened. Now, right now, al-Sistani has not made any calls for martyrdom, for volunteerism, anything like that. But just as a result of the threats against Iran, and I'm showing you this as a news story. This is not any sort of like, I'm not telling you guys, this is just a news story, right? Right now, there is no public call for that from Sistani, the religious leader in Iraq, but there are thousands and thousands of young men who are volunteering for what? They're signing martyrdom forms. They're signing martyrdom forms.
Talk about Area 51 or aliens or past civilizations.
I'm not going to talk about some CIA Fed slop as we talk about major geopolitical news and potential war. So, no. Go watch Joe Rogan if you want that. Anyways, what these thousands of young men who have not even been called to do this, just under the threat that Iran is facing, thousands of young men are signing up martyrdom forms all across the country. Okay, Sistani has not called for anything. Thousands are signing up martyrdom forms. These forms they are signing are saying, we will give our lives away to protect Iraq and Iran. Okay, even the Secretary General of Hezbollah was seen filling out one of the forms. Iraqis signed pledge as martyrdom soldiers if U.S. attacks Iran. After Iraq's Hezbollah brigades issued call for global mobilization, open war in support of Iran. And we also see that al-Nujaba has opened its doors to volunteer martyrs following the example of its brothers in Kataib Hezbollah. So Nujaba is another paramilitary force associated with Kataib Hezbollah, Iraqi Hezbollah, and said they will not hesitate to defend Iran in case of any attack on the Islamic Republic. And even, I don't even know these guys, but Iran Observer posted it. Fatemion and a group of Afghan Shiite paramilitary forces has also announced general mobilization.
If Alex Preddy is a Christian, then I'm the king of Siam, man shrugging.
All across the region, thousands of young men are not only mobilizing, but willing to sacrifice their lives right now to defend Iran. Is this really a war that the U.S. wants to pick right now? I can tell you that if I knew any U.S. soldiers that were in the region, I would tell them, buddy, shouldn't be there in the first place. Time to get out. This is not something first of all, you want to have to, a crime you want to have to answer before God when you meet your maker. Second of all, that time will probably, in all likelihood, come sooner than you'd like if you stay there any longer and this all goes down. Before you leave, I want to say thank you for the support, because after 2 years of being banned, we are finally back home on YouTube. So be sure to subscribe to our channel and also join as a member on our channel using the link at the top of the description. I rely on the generous support of viewers like yourself to get the truth out to as many people as possible. You can also support the show on Locals or Give Sin Go. The mainstream media and the powers that be are never going to stop attacking us for bringing the truth to as many people as we do. Thank you so much for your support.